makes you start thinking other than what we've been normally thinking. So that's why we said that a stone thrown into the pond, hundreds and hundreds of feet away, the guy who sees the wave cannot make the connection with the previous events. The same thing, we are existing today because of millions of events that took place before us.
Causality.
Right, exactly. If you plant a seed into the ground, a tree comes out. The tree makes millions of seeds. Now, some of these seeds will get planted into the soil and another tree will come out. And over the centuries, a tree that comes out many centuries later will be totally different over the period of mutations and genetic transformations, and environment will mold that seed into different requirements, and a totally different tree will come out. If you trace it 1,000 years back, or 1,000 years later, or 2,000 years later, the tree that will exist at that time will be still find its connection to that seed which was planted and the tree was created. So the connection between that seed to that tree is there. That continuity is there. The potentialities is there. Now, out of the seed, nothing else comes out but the tree. You open the seed, where is the tree? You don't see the tree. The potentiality for the tree still exists in that seed. So, one seed carrying the potentiality of future events is locked into that seed. So, it's like chicken and egg. Chicken and egg is a fuzzy logic. The fuzzy logic is where 2 and 2 is not 4. 2 and 2 can be 3. 2 and 2 can be 5. It's like electrons. If you really go by the particle theory, you should be able to calculate exactly weight of this electron plus weight of this electron should be equal to this. Or this electron traveling at such and such speed will be at that particular place at particular moment. Yes, only if you consider the electron as a particle. But that's not where the story ends. At quantum level, at the quantum theory, an electron is a wave too. It's an energy. How do you calculate the energy? How do you calculate the mass of the energy? How do you predict where the energy is going to be? So, electron is somewhere between particle and energy. And that's all they could come up with. So that's a fuzzy logic. So now, applying that fuzzy logic to the chicken and egg theory, and believe me, there are lots of people who have gotten into this. What came first, chicken or the egg? If you think that chicken gave rise to the eggs, you need the chicken. So chicken should have come first. But then chicken would not have come out without the egg. So you need the egg first too. So, and these discussions have been going on for many years among so many brilliant heads. But spirituality has the answer. And the answer is, the moment a chicken is born, the chicken's death is written down. At some point, chicken is going to be dying. Death of a chicken has already started at the time of the birth of the chicken. And the potentiality of the egg that's going to be delivered a few weeks later or a few months later is already in that chicken. As soon as the chicken is born, the potentiality of the egg is also born at the same time. Do you understand what I'm saying? So a chicken in a manifest form and an egg in an unmanifest form are existing simultaneously. So chicken that you can see with 5 senses and potentiality of the egg that you cannot see it, but it is a possibility as a potentiality is existing in that chicken. So chicken and a potential egg are existing side by side until the death of the chicken comes nearby. The chicken disappears. In between, the egg has come out. But as soon as the egg is born, potential for the next chicken is already there. So, egg and a potential chicken are existing side by side, and ultimately, the chicken will be born and the cycle will go on. The cycle to us is a cycle only when we try to perceive the forms, the names and the forms and what visible universe. That's all we know. And that's what science, that's where it gets fumbled. Science tries to get the answers at the material level. And it will never be successful because the answers don't lie at material level. Of the certain kind of deep secrets of life, you have to consider the phenomenon of potentialities. And these potentialities are the final answer. If I exist today, my existence right now already is carrying the potentialities it existed in my father. Otherwise, I wouldn't be born. So he lived all his life carrying potentialities of me. And ultimately, potentialities became fruitful and I was born. But mine and his potentialities existed in my grandfather. And then his father and his father. It just kept on going. And try to trace everybody's genealogies back to a single spot that they call Big Bang. The whole universe came out of it. Go beyond that. And before that, there was nothing there. Imagine the potentialities of the whole universe existed before, not even that. In a very minute spot, that's where the universe came out. But we cannot conceive anything other than a minute spot because our, again, mind gets locked in a visible form. But there was no spot there. There was only energy.
Think beyond spot.
Exactly. So, and beyond the spot, the time, people say, how many years? Fine. You can count 13.5 billion years between now and that Big Bang theory. Fine. But what do you do beyond that? Beyond that, the time did exist. What is time? Again, we talked about is the rotation of the earth around the sun. But if the sun was not there, earth was not there, where was the time? It could have been, you can't even talk about it.
Could be eons.
Not even eons, right?
Speechless,
Eons,
you know.
exactly.
Zip your mouth.
That's what it is. You just cannot talk about that state. Because that state only existed. And existence is the consciousness. Existence, if you remove all the possibilities, all the potentialities of everything that you know existed in that vast expanse of the consciousness, that is Paramatma. So Paramatma is beyond our senses. It's beyond everything. The only way to kind of know that state is to become that state. That's the only way. And even then, you're not going to have a grasp of complete totality. The only thing you will be experiencing. And that's the only way. And the only way to reach that state is meditation. Through the meditation, you're getting closer and closer and closer, day by day by day, where you're coming out of that form state of names and form state. You just come out of those visible things and you're going into something that is beyond that. And mind well, whatever you see is also Paramatma. Atma Chittam, they call, in a Shiv Strot. The Atma is Chit also. Chit is also Atma. Because if you say that Advait state is separate than Advait, then also there is a fallacy. Because Advait is supposed to be infinite. You cannot have an infinite state of mind or infinite state of existence with a duality separate than it. The duality has to be a part of it. It's like you make a bracelet out of gold, right? When we look at a bracelet, you're looking at the bracelet. You're never thinking of the goldness of the bracelet. The gold is what is responsible for making the bracelet. So the bracelet would not exist without that gold. And yet, when we look at the bracelet, we forget about the gold. We know that it's gold, but we don't think about it. We start appreciating the beauty of the bracelet and the size of the bracelet, how much it costs, whatever. We get into the utility of that form. When I look at you, I look at the utility. Are you a good friend or not? Is this a good person or not? Is this object, I like it or not? But we never realize that it's that consciousness that has created you and me and everything around us, right? In that creation, the consciousness has not disappeared from it. Consciousness is still a part of it. It's like a droplet created from the oceans going around and bouncing around. And if the droplet thinks that has a separate existence, it's a fallacy. Ocean is in every single aspect of that droplet. That droplet could not exist without the ocean. So when the droplet wants to become the ocean, the only thing it has to drop is the dropletness. It has to forget that it's a droplet. It just has to remember that it's the ocean. And that's the state of Advaita. When you and me, we start looking at each other without the utilitarian point of view, without the what is in it for me, that's when you start going into Advaita state. And that's the whole idea. So, if you look at it, even our existence is remotely connected. Like we talked about the seed turning into a totally different tree 2,000, 10,000 years back after, right? The potentiality of something different to come exists in the seed right now. The same way, we are also accumulation of so many potentialities of the past. We did not come out of nothing. We came out of so many potentialities. Our physical structures, when the eyes and the arms and the legs are so, in so many ways connected to the animals of the lower state that we call lower. You know, evolutionary trees have told us that our feet came from here, the whole animal kingdoms walking on the land have been connected to the fish.
Fresh, yeah.
And at one time, the fish had no legs to walk. It had only fins. But they found out a fish which swims in the shallow reefs, and a lot of time being chased by the sharks and all that, they were forced to go into the shallow waters. And in the shallow waters, they found it convenient to have a pair of feet too. So they started having, the fins started getting converted into feet. So it was a concept, but then they found out a fish like that if they found the structure, studied the structure of the fins, it already had a rudimentary thigh bone, it already had rudimentary feet, and it had ability to walk. Because the fin, being a very soft structure, would be useless to walk on the ground. Mm-hmm. So internal structure had to get hardened up, and the feet were created. Imagine you and I taking so much pride in our legs and our body. Everything is remotely connected to the animals of past. And if you trace it further, even to amoeba levels. So everything that we are is also accumulation of potentialities of the past universe. And at the same time, we are carrying the potentialities of the whole future universe. The whole future universe exists right now in its potential form. We are the manifestations of millions and billions and billions of potentialities that existed in the past. So the universe that exists right now is basically accumulation of the past potentialities and the future potentialities. If you include past and future and everything together, the only thing that really matters is what is right now. So that's the power of now. Now is the most important moment that exists. So the existence never disappeared, whether in a physical form or in a non-manifest form. The existence never disappeared. The only commonality among all these things was the existence. And the energy that was required to throw the things into manifest and take them back into unmanifest. But from the manifest form point of view, birth was there, death was there. Birthdays were there, funerals were there. But it didn't really matter, because in one form or the other, you can never die. The only thing at the conceptual level, you have to realize that. At the existential level, you can never die. Existence will be always there. So we have to realize that the present moment, we are carrying the seeds of future, and we are the manifestation of so many things that happened in the past. So that continuity has to be realized. We are interwoven with every single thing around us. The cow eats the grass. The molecules which were in the grass becomes part of the cow. Cow gives the milk. You drink milk. The milk becomes part of you. The grass, even if you don't eat the grass directly, the molecules present in the grass becomes part of you again. You excrete and the grass grows again. The cycle is finished. It just goes on and on and on. Whatever is our existence is borrowed from the consciousness, and whatever we are letting it go to become part of consciousness again. So imagine in this such a complex web of existences, the potentialities and all that, where does the ego exist? Where are you? We are nothing compared to this vast mechanism and complex system of consciousness. Consciousness is very difficult to understand if you hold on to your mind. The minute you give up the mind, all bets are off. Then you drop everything and you just flow in that potentialities. You existing as a potentiality, you carrying the torch. You know how they carry the torch of the marathon? Mm-hmm. How it goes from? You're just carrying the torch right now of the consciousness of so many potentialities and so many potentialities to come. You become a vehicle in the expression of the consciousness. Consciousness is dancing through you. Your arms are his arms. You are given that advantage of expressing consciousness right now. It's a very rare opportunity, and it's something that you have to be thankful for. Your eyes are his vision. You dance and he's dancing. You are his dance. In fact, when he's dancing, all these so-called dualities are created. The dualities are fake. Only because of the instrument that we have, we perceive as a dual state. But that's the beauty. Duality is not something to hate. Duality is not something to get away from. You can never escape the duality. How can you escape the dream? Can you go into the bed tonight and say that I'm not going to have dreams? But the dreams come. Dreams are kind of a reality. They are part of our life, but they are not realities. That's all can be said about the dualities that we see outside. It's there because we all perceive it, but it's not there in a real sense. So that is the thing we have to realize, that we cannot fight with the dreams. We can just see the dreams and keep it that own perspective and keep a bigger vision. You are real. Dreams are not real. Because before you went to bed, the dreams were not there. Dreams were created when you were sleeping, and when you wake up, the dreams disappear. So anything that was created, maintained by you, your dreams cannot be seen by me. I can see only my dreams. So you created your dreams. You maintained those dreams for the time that you slept through. The moment you wake up, the dreams are destroyed. You were Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh for your own dreams, to that matter. But it's your own creation, your maintenance and your destruction. So anything that is created, maintained and then ultimately destroyed, how could it be real? So the reality is something that has to exist all the time. You were always there when you created those dreams, plus when you maintained, and plus when you destroyed. You were constant. So from relative point of view, compared to the dreams, you are the only reality. The same way, the duality is created, is maintained and destroyed, and compared to what? Advaita. Advaita is the only answer. In that Advaita state, things are created, things are maintained, things are destroyed, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. But there is something beyond all that thing, is the Brahma state, Turiya state, where you can just observe all things being created, maintained and destroyed, and you have nothing to do with that because you are that consciousness. So we have to realize that state of existence. And the importance of the dreams becomes just as much as the importance of a dream. How much importance can you put on the dreams? You cannot make that a reality. Whatever you made money in your dream state is not going to come in handy. So only when we see the state of Advait, we see the uselessness of so-called duality.